Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are talking about the new release from Lisa Eldridge for summer 2021. But before we go any further, let's take a second to grab our iced coffee or a hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. So as many of you may know, I now have an online beauty consulting service, which is where you get to talk to me one-on-one and you can just ask me any beauty related questions. A lot of people like to go over the collection they already own and sort of pick through which items to wear together, create combinations, or sometimes people want advice about shopping new items, but they don't want that added sales pressure. The benefit of my service is I work for myself, I don't work for any brand, so I'll just give you my unbiased advice. So to make the appointment, click the link in the description box down below. Alright, so as many of you know, Lisa Eldridge has a new launch for this summer. She has new products including liquid highlighters, liquid blushes, new lip shades in the gloss family, as well as her classic bullet lipsticks. For today's video, I'm going to show you some of the items that I got with this new release. The first item is the Enlivening Glow in Cosmic Rose. This is a liquid highlighter that can be used as a highlighter or as an illuminating base, which is why I'm not wearing any foundation or face makeup at the moment because we're going to do a demonstration. And I also got an Enlivening Blush, which is a beautiful seamless cream liquid blush in Island Glow. This is definitely my type of blush color, especially for the warmer months. So these are the only two items I picked up in this new release this summer. I have a lot of lipsticks, I have a lot of the velvets, a lot of the luxuriously lucid satin finish. I also have a lot of glosses too. So for this new launch, I went with colors that I knew I would cherish for a long time. So let's go ahead and do a demonstration. I'm just gonna go into my Muse lip gloss because her lip glosses can be used as a lip balm as well. They're very nourishing. So this will be my lip treatment as I do my makeup. And for me, Muse is definitely my natural lip color, but better. So I don't think it'll interfere with the lip color later. All right, let's start off with Cosmic Rose. This is described as a light to medium rosy gold that's good for light to medium skin tones. This highlighter is designed to amplify luminous glow to the high points of the face, and it's supposed to also deliver some skincare benefits as well. And you can also control how much glow you get, so I think we will start off slowly because it's always easier to add makeup than it is to remove. This does claim to have skincare benefits that are moisturizing and hydrating, and I have been using this for a few days now. I have to say that I don't see like a huge difference in my skin. Like when I wear the makeup, I can see the makeup looking beautiful, but this is not the same thing as getting a facial. I think it's nice to incorporate some skincare in with makeup, but for me, a selling point, like that's not really a selling point for me. For me, it's more the product itself. If there are some skincare benefits, that's nice, but for me, it's just kind of like extra. So as you can see, there is a giant doe foot applicator and you do get quite a bit of product right away. You don't need to double dip to get more product. You get a lot on the first swatch here. So what I'll do is I'll just dab. That's actually a lot more than I expected. Let me just transfer some over here. Just a little. And now let's just blend. So as you can see, it blends very easily. It's really a liquid highlighter here in the bottle. I think it's also a glass bottle, so do be careful how you handle it. You don't want to break this. I was worried that this Cosmic Rose would be very pink, but it's really a light champagne color. It doesn't really have too much pink in it, at least on my skin tone. Maybe on a different skin tone, the pink would show up more, but on me, it's almost just like my natural skin tone with a beautiful glow. So as you can see, it's very subtle. I went in just very lightly. I think when you layer it at first before your foundation, it's comparable to a Laura Mercier Illuminating Primer or the NARS Radiance Primer, that sort of product. Same thing as the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, that type of item here. So very easy to use, very blendable. Go in very lightly, like as you saw, the first dot had a lot of product, so just be careful. I'm going to go ahead and put my foundation over top. This is the Chanel Les Beiges, and I'm just going to mix it over top just to show you how it blends. Okay, so here's the Enlivening Glow as a primer. It's very natural, very subtle. You do get to control how much you add, so you could turn yourself into a disco ball if you want, but for me, this is what I like. Now let's go ahead and use this as a highlighter, but before we do that, we should actually go into the blush first. So Island Glow is described as a warm, bright coral that imparts the skin with a deliciously sunny, warm blush. That is exactly the type of color that I love, especially for warmer months when I have a bit of a tan. This is the type of color that I reach for. This is great for olive, medium, and deeper skin tones as well. And this also has some active ingredients in here, some skincare benefits. It's supposed to be hydrating with natural oils and vitamin E and all of that. What's interesting about this Enlivening Blush is the texture. I thought that this would be very liquidy, very runny, but it's actually quite thick. When you squeeze this out of the tube, you do have to put a lot of pressure to get product out. So it's this like thick jelly more than anything else, and it's a very interesting texture. Something to note is that neither one of the products that I'm mentioning today have any scent whatsoever. They may have like a natural cosmetic scent, but they're not perfumed or fragranced. So what I will do is I'll put a little bit of the Enlivening Blush on the back of my hand, kind of get it a bit warm, and then apply it. It's always best to start off small and then add afterwards, because this looks very intense here with those few little pea-sized dots that I applied. So I will just do a little bit, and you can blend with your finger. You should apply with one finger and then blend with another to control the amount of color you apply. But I'm also going to go in with a brush. This is my Refer Brush 18. And I'm just going to blend this in here. And then just collecting a little bit more on the back of my hand. I think it's actually a really good idea that this blush is such a thick texture, because it's very opaque. If it was more liquidy, it might run more, and then you might end up with more product on the back of your hand than you actually need. You really need only a few dots to get this beautiful color, and this is described as a warm, bright coral. I think it's exactly that. This is exactly the type of color I think of when I think of an island glow. Now let's go back over top with the Cosmic Rose, and let's just add a few dots here and there just to highlight a little bit. So what I do for this part is I put it on the back of my hand. I know I could go in directly, but I like to have a little bit more control over how much highlighter I'm applying. So I'm going to apply with one finger, and then I'm going to blend with a separate one. Again, this is just to control how much color and how intense this looks. So this is the mixture of Island Glow and Cosmic Rose. I think both of these colors really mix together nicely. And what's interesting about Cosmic Rose is I thought it would be more pink, like I mentioned earlier, but it really just looks like a beautiful natural highlighter. It's a light champagne. It kind of matches my skin tone so perfectly that it just looks like glow. You can't really tell where the highlighter begins and where it ends, which is a really good thing, because sometimes when you apply highlighter, It sort of like sits on top of the skin and you can tell exactly where the highlighter lives, whereas this is just such a beautiful glow. It really melts into your skin. It melts in with the other makeup items that you're wearing, and it just leaves your skin looking so beautiful and so radiant. So for this portion of the video, I want to go ahead and do some comparisons with these items here. So first off, we will do some comparisons with the highlighter here. The first comparison would be with the Charlotte Tilbury, because that is the most obvious packaging comparison. This is the Hollywood Flawless filter. I have the shade 4.5, which is definitely a different shade from Cosmic Rose. The differences in size is that the Charlotte Tilbury is 30 milliliters, whereas the Lisa Eldridge is only 13. And they both have the big wand doe foot applicator. Obviously, there's a really big color difference here, but something interesting is the textures are very different. The Lisa Eldridge is much more fluid, much more runny and liquidy, whereas Charlotte Tilbury almost looks like a foundation. And I do actually use this one as a foundation more than the highlighter, but the difference in texture is really different. And that could be why the Lisa Eldridge just really sinks and melts into the skin so effortlessly. It's like water, it just melts into everything else. And so I think that's the biggest comparison between those two. But I have a couple liquid highlighters from Chanel that I also want to compare in difference with Lisa Eldridge as well. The first one is the Le Blanc, and these are the rosy light drops, and this is the closest I can think of color-wise that might be similar to what I have here from Lisa Eldridge. I think the texture is very similar to the Chanel liquid highlighters, but the Chanel Le Blanc is much more cool tone, much more pink and pearlescent, and this one here looks more champagne and peachy in comparison here, but the textures are very similar. And then I have the Les Beiges liquid highlighter. This is the shade called Sunkissed. Just as a quick note, the Chanel liquid highlighters, both of them, are also 30 milliliters and Lisa Eldridge is 13. So this one here, Sunkissed, looks like golden, molten, liquid gold basically. So the color difference is completely different, but the texture is very similar, very much fluid, liquid, runny. So I think that the Chanel liquid highlighters are the closest in formula, in my opinion, to this enlivening glow. All right, let's go ahead and compare the blush here. Let's see what I have that might be comparable in color and maybe in texture as well. So in texture, the closest I could remotely have is the Chantecaille Cheek Gelée, but the Cheek Gelée is much more fluid. It's really more of a liquidy gel, whereas the Lisa Eldridge is almost like a thick gel or a thick mousse almost. So if you have these, the texture is like, I don't know, like a vague distant cousin, but it's really not the same thing. And this Chantecaille Cheek Gelée is lively, which is a beautiful peachy coral, but obviously not in the same color family. One blush that might be sort of similar is this Chanel one called So Close, which kind of just looks more like a vibrant orangey than coral, but it's sort of in this family here. The texture of the Lisa Eldridge is really phenomenal. It's unlike a lot of what I've experienced. It's like this thick jelly mousse texture. It's really unique. I almost forgot to add a lipstick. I went into Velvet Morning to add a healthy dose of orange lipstick. I think this goes really well with the blush and highlighter combination. Okay, so final thoughts. I definitely whittled down my shopping this time. There's a lot of Lisa Eldridge products that I love, but I really wanted to make sure that the items that I got I knew I would love, and that's exactly what happened. I considered getting Atomic Cherry, I think it's called, but that lipstick formula in my experience is much more sheer, and I love a bold lip like this, so I will see swatches and reviews of this Atomic Cherry, and I might get it next time, or I might just repurchase True Velvet in Velvet Morning here. The blush formula is really lovely. This thick moussey gel is an interesting texture. I haven't experienced this before. I think the color is beautiful. It's definitely that warm peachy coral, which I love. The highlighter I think can be best described as seamless. It melts into your skin like water. It really just, I don't want to say disintegrates, but it's just so seamless. You can see that I have a highlighter on, but you can't tell where it starts, where it stops. It just blends so nicely with your skin, with other makeup. It wears so beautifully. And I think you could wear this with other products as well. You could mix it into your foundation instead of layering it. I think there's a lot of possibilities. If you're being more creative, you could take a little bit of the blush and a little bit of the highlighter, mix it together, and then apply just to create a really beautiful, luminous blush. There's just a lot of options here. Overall, I am extremely happy with my purchases here. I am very happy with this new release. I have yet to be disappointed from Lisa Eldridge, and I'm glad she's doing this like slow and steady release. Like she didn't just come out with like 45 different products, like lipsticks, and then a different formula, and then a gloss, and then she's slowly, gradually adding to the collection. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think of this new Lisa Eldridge summer release? What did you get? I know a lot of people bought a whole lot more than I did. I know some people bought every single blush, every new highlighter. Let me know, what are you buying? What did you buy? I think a lot of items are currently sold out, but I'm certain there will be a restock in the near future. If you're new to my channel, I highly encourage you to subscribe, and if you are a longtime viewer, just double check that you are still subscribed, because YouTube likes to unsubscribe people for mysterious reasons. Well, on that note, I think this is all I have for you guys for today, so thank you all so much for stopping by. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.